Hand bomber. Definition: a guy who pushes a lawnmower. In some places, it's a guy who unloads trucks. But around here, it's a guy who cuts grass. Why won't anyone listen to me? I don't have much time, so I'll try to tell this as quickly as I can before, well, I just don't have much time left. Back when all this started, back in 18, jobs were scarce, so to raise money for school, I started my own house-sitting / landscaping business. In other words, I became a hand bomber, a guy who cuts grass. I used every online source I could to promote the business, and even went old school, putting up posters on bulletin boards around town. And soon I started getting calls. One of my first calls was to a nice gray stone house on a nice street which overlooked the nearby river valley. It was a nice house. The owner, not so much. He was a strange guy with a head of shaggy grayish hair, Coke-bottled glasses, and a loud booming voice. What he wanted was simple. I'm going to be away for most of the summer, and I want you to cut the grass and see to the yard. But under no circumstances are you to enter the house, understand? Yeah, that suited me fine. Under no circumstances, understand? Yes, sir. I had my own equipment, but he asked me to use his own lawnmower. He said something about its engine working better if it was in regular use. Again, that seemed strange to me, but whatever. It saved wear and tear on my stuff. Besides, he was paying more than I had asked for. So why argue? I was to come twice a week, Monday and Friday, although once a week would have been sufficient. I would probably only be there an hour at most. Here is a key to the garage, Mr. Shaggy boomed in his loud voice. You can let yourself in to get the lawnmower and trash bags, whatever you need. Just be sure to lock it after you. Understand? I understood fine. The key also lets you into the house, but under no circumstances are you to go inside. You are not to enter the house. Understand? Yes, I got the memo already. Now, I normally wore earbuds and listened to music and podcasts while I worked, and that's what I did during the hour I spent at Mr. Shaggy's house. It was on a Monday, my third visit, when I heard the screaming. I was finishing up and was in the process of putting Shaggy's lawnmower back in the garage. I had just removed my earbuds when I heard it. It was more a long, drawn-out moan than a scream, a moaning that ended in muffled sobbing, then silence. It seemed to have come from the house. I waited. Nothing, just dead silence. I took a quick stroll around the outside of the house, ears pricked up for any sound. But nothing. Thinking I had imagined it, I left and promptly forgot all about it. The next time I visited, on the Friday, I didn't wear my earbuds, listening in case I heard the screaming again. But nothing. It was on my next visit, a Monday, when I noticed the bad smell. I became aware of it when I was doing some work along the rear of the house. It was a strange, pungent, rotten odor I had never encountered before. I stopped, turned off the lawnmower, and tried to find the source of the smell. Was it a gas leak? No, I didn't think so. It seemed to be coming from inside the house. Should I go in? No. Perhaps the place was a mess, filthy inside. Maybe that's why Shaggy didn't want me going in. Whatever. I was just about to head back to work when I thought I detected movement. A curtain pulled aside quickly, a flash of light, like light reflecting off a pair of glasses. Glasses? Was Shaggy inside? Had he been there all the time? Was he spying on me, seeing if I was working hard? Well, I was, so he should be satisfied. It was too weird. But hey, the money was good. I went about my business. But Friday the stink was worse, and there were flies visible on the inside of the windows. Not a few flies. The window was curtained with them. What was going on in there? It smelled like rotting meat. That does it, I told myself. The next time I see old Shaggy, I'm going to quit. Money or no money. I was in the garage getting Shaggy's lawnmower when the SWAT team arrived. 2 cops in full riot gear charged towards me, pointing their automatic weapons at me, shouting, "Get down on the ground! Get down on the ground! Now!" Well, what's going on? I yelled, only to have them bark, "On the ground! Now!" I got down. They cuffed me and pulled me to my feet, dragging me out of there. I was astonished to see several other cops attacking the front door with a battering ram. "What are you doing?" I screamed. "You can't do that." I'd internalized the mantra. You can't go in the house, understand? You can't go in there, understand? But the SWAT team didn't care. They went in. You may have already guessed what they found. You may remember reading or hearing about the case in the news. For what they found were the remains of at least 7 dismembered, rotting corpses, all of them female. I was standing there, handcuffed, so stunned I was almost comatose. Several detectives were in my face, wanting to know why I did it, when Shaggy suddenly drove up. He burst into tears. Crocodile tears, when they explained the situation to him. I noticed the cops were treating Shaggy with a certain degree of deference, but I didn't know why. Shaggy pointed at me and in a voice trembling with emotion cried out, "I trusted you, gave you the keys to my house, and this is how you repay me? This is how you repay me? How did you ever think you'd get away with it, leaving corpses in my house? My house!" "But who are you?" I said in wonder. Who am I? Who am I? I'm the coroner! The coroner!" And then it hit me. It was Shaggy. Shaggy was the killer, the serial killer. He'd been using the house the entire time. And he'd set me up as a patsy, the fall guy. Of course, Shaggy had an alibi. He'd been seconded to another jurisdiction and had left me in charge of looking after his house, at which point he said I had obviously gone on a murder rampage. I denied it, of course, but no one believed me. Even my court-appointed lawyer didn't believe me. I tried to tell him Shaggy had done it, that he was the killer. But they wouldn't believe me. They just wouldn't believe me. They believed Shaggy instead. Yeah, the jury sure believed Shaggy. He even cried while giving his testimony against me. They gave me the max. Lethal injection. Lethal injection for crimes I hadn't committed. I'm out of time. They're coming for me now. Coming to get me and strap me down on a gurney and fill me with lethal drugs. An unknown person will administer the drugs. But I bet it will be Shaggy himself hiding behind the blinds. Game over. All I wanted to do was make some money for school. And now I'm going to die. But I promise you this. If it's possible to come back, if I could come back, then I'm coming back. For revenge. Can you wake the dead? If so, I woke up in the morgue. Shaggy was bending over me with a scalpel in his gloved hand and a grin on his face. Behind his Coke bottle glasses, I bet his eyes were gleaming. My arms shot out, my left hand grasping his neck, fingers digging into his throat. My fingers were strong, even in death. After all, I'd been doing manual labor for months. I crushed his windpipe. His final words were, "What?" He jerked and struggled. He twisted and squirmed. He pissed and shit, and his face turned white, and then gray, and then black. And then he slumped to the floor as I laughed and laughed and laughed. Although my laughter sounded kind of weird. Flatulent. And then I was free. Free and able to rise from the examining table. I was dead, but I was free. 7 young ladies were waiting for me at the door. The 7 victims of Shaggy's murderous lust. Shaggy's dark soul had left his mortal remains and was floating towards us. I turned on him and said, "You can't come with us. Understand? You go to the other place. Understand?" In other words, I told him, "Go to hell." The moral of the story: never believe a shaggy dog or a shaggy man story. If this is your first visit to my channel, please consider subscribing. My name is Warren, and I write and tell original ghost stories and original horror stories featuring such cryptids as the Night Floaters, werewolves, and the Black-Eyed Children. So, again, please consider subscribing. Please help me to reach my goal of 2,021 subs in 2021. Till midnight. Tally-ho! Pictures used in today's video, courtesy of Pix Here, that's PX Here, while the music was the haunting Haunted by Screams by the awesome musician Mayu. P.S. Dear listeners, I'm having some technical issues right now, so I may not be responding to your comments as quickly as I have in the past. But please continue to submit them, and I will get back to you as soon as I am able. I thank you for your patience. Cheers.